everybody, Al Bernstein for the Boxing Channel, here with my good friend Gordon Hall, the executive producer of ShoBox, the new generation, a series that is having a milestone very shortly, the 200th show. When you started all this out, did you think it was going to make the kind of waves it has in boxing and been beyond for this long?
No, never. I think whenever you have a series that's about up-and-coming prospects, obviously we're catering to the boxing fan.
Yes.
I mean, we're like, but I think the fact that it does have a definition that's unique and specific and different than any other series, that we knew we had a chance, and we knew we had something that we thought could be successful.
Right.
And you know, thankfully, it has been.
It really has, and you've shepherded this series from its beginning. Tell me, when did it first start? When was the beginning of ShoBox?
It was in July of 2001. 2001. And it was in Bally's in Atlantic City.
Very good.
And actually, the first card, I believe, we had Leo Durin, who would actually go on to become our first of 54 fighters that have fought on ShoBox and then gone on to win world titles.
Yeah, so, and as you've shepherded this thing through and put your imprint on it, and I know I can tell the world, because I'm privy to it, that this man, Gordon Hall, really, you treat this show with such care and such concern, and a lot of it is the fact that you just want these matches to be good, and you want to show people a good side of these young boxers.
Right. I mean, I'm passionate about it because I believe in the series. I believe in what we're doing, and matching young fighters tough is actually good for the sport. I think it's a credit to the managers, the promoters, and the trainers in order to match their kids tough. But I really believe a loss early in your career when you're matched tough is nothing but a building block for you.
Right.
A loss is not a bad thing. A loss later in your career can be, but earlier in your career, it can benefit you. I can make an example of Robert Guerrero, whose only loss prior to losing to Floyd Mayweather recently was on ShoBox, when he lost to Gamaliel Diaz, came back and had a rematch and won, and then went 8 years without having another loss. But I think that if you were to talk to him, he would credit that loss with his success.
Yeah. That's intriguing. And one of the interesting things about the series is, even though there is often somebody who's considered a hot prospect, they're never matched against somebody whose record doesn't indicate that that guy's going to give them a tough go. And of course, as we've pointed out, there have been many, many upsets on this series. How hard is it for you to get everybody to get on board with it being a really competitive match?
It is difficult, and I'm not, because of the fact we have different agendas.
Sure.
You know, I mean, the promoters, the managers, you know, and especially when they're young and maturing, that there's going to be a difference in opinion on what we're going to want. But I think in the end, we have gotten, you know, we have 120 some fighters that have come in with undefeated records and lost. You know, the series, I think, has, you know, as I said, we've developed 54 fighters, and the 54 fighters that have fought on ShoBox and gone on to become world champions is only significant because of the fact we've had, you know, well, 200 shows. Yeah. So in less than every 4 shows, you're going to see a fighter that's going to go on and become a world champion.
Yeah, that's why that's a really good statistic. That's fascinating. Two of the men that you've worked with, of course, Rich Gaughan and Rick Phillips, who have produced and directed virtually all of the ShoBox series, and during the course of time, you've had some great people as talent. But the two people who have done most of this series, very special guys. Steve Farhood, of course, is still on the series, and the late Nick Charles, who did this series for such a long time. And the two of them really have been, for the most part, the heart and soul of ShoBox.
Yeah, I think that when you have a series that's sort of unique and different, and when we started out, we didn't know what it was going to end up being. There is the handful of us that were there in the beginning, and that was Nick, that was Steve, that's Rich Gaughan, our producer, and Rick Phillips, our director. And because of the fact that we started this series and nurtured it, you know, we're very passionate about what we're doing. And plus, in the belief in the series of matching young kids tough, there's certainly, you know, Nick's passion that he brought as being a boxing fan, you know, Steve, you know, Rich and Rick, and, you know, we develop a team, but the team has a purpose, and that's to develop develop young fighters, match them tough, and turn prospects into contenders.
Yeah, and create great fights along the way. And on some occasions, you've even been nice enough to let me participate in ShoBox. At least once a year, I usually do it.
Al, that was only when we couldn't find anybody else.
Darn it! Shoot, see, that's the thing. Son of a gun. Maybe I'll get back on one again. Now, I want to get back on one before we hit the 400th show. How about that?
That sounds great.
Well, it's only 1 in 200. You can afford that.
We'll get you back in a couple hundred shows.
Gordon Hall, the executive producer of ShoBox, and let me tell you something. Congratulations to you and everybody involved in this show, because it's a very special series.
Thank you.
All right, Gordon Hall. I'm Mel Bernstein.